All right, grown black folks talk. Cancel culture is colonizer culture. Yeah, let that sink in. I did a video today about let's talk about abundance. And I was talking about just not money or wealth or riches, but the abundance of being around people who are growing and healing and creating, and that it's worth doing the work to purge of toxic habits to get there. Does that mean everything is perfect? No, it does not. But it is a much better position to live from than the opposite. uh, Someone I made a comment about cancel culture really comes from colonialism. And so it was subscriber Elegant Pause number one who made the comment, cancellation culture is dumb. There's room for all. And I wanted to actually do a video based on the comment I did there because I think it's something it's important for us to understand. Let me break this down for you. We like to think that cancel culture is part of the same idea as boycott. Um, I would probably not be able to have the education necessary to make the videos that I'm able to make uh, because integration would not have existed. Therefore, opportunities and the expectations that Black people can get the kind of knowledge, not only in terms of me being in school, because historically Black colleges and universities had very powerful education, but to have access to things that I have access, to be able to go to public libraries, to be able to go to college libraries across the country, to be able to send for things at libraries that I go to that are in places that normally we could not go. I'm more of an autodidact, to feel comfortable enough around other groups of people to go watch their videos and not feel like I'm going to be attacked by them in the process. I'm not going to have to hear too many racial slurs, and that it's actually publicly accessible because we're not segregated online the way we would have been had things continued. So the fact that I'm sitting here really has a lot to do with the Montgomery bus boycott when probably for the first time in American history, a corporation recognized that we have a couple of choices. These Negroes have not ridden this bus for a year. So we can either drop our segregation clauses or we probably will go under. They chose not to go under and they dropped their segregation clauses. And as I've said before, you have to understand Montgomery, Alabama was the first capital of the Confederacy. No group of people ever fought harder than Alabamians to keep the Negro down. Now, I do mean Alabamians of the past, although shout out to Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III, who is in the Encyclopedia of Alabama. There's still a few, but there are also some very good people in Alabama as well who are not on with the foolishness. This is also why civil rights movement in Alabama was so difficult. That said, the Montgomery bus boycott got civil rights established, at least to that extent. And once it was done in Montgomery, it made it easier for it to be done in other places. To have done it there is significant. So we tend to associate cancel culture as being the next generation of boycotting. But let me explain something about boycotting. Boycotting is done with the intention of repair, restoration, justice, and continuation. Boycotting is not saying we want you to cease to exist because you have offended us. We're saying we're willing to run the risk of you ceasing to exist unless you change your ways, at which time we will then go back to using and supporting you and we ride off into the future together. This is the same thing that you have to do with people on an everyday basis. You can allow no one to come into your life that you cannot, in the back of your mind, understand that the risk of losing them rather than losing yourself is on the table. No one. You can't afford it because we have all grown up in a country that is cool, especially with abusing Black people and particularly Black women. So you must always be ready until someone has absolutely proved themselves to you to walk away from them at any moment because you can't afford to let them think that they are as essential as God Himself in your life. But in leaving, there is a door open to return. It is notable that there are two married Black men, Tony Gaskins and R.C. Blakes, that both will talk about how they realized as men they had to get their lives together because the women that they wanted to marry and they weren't doing right, walked off and left them there and said, "No, no, brother, we ain't doing this. Absolutely not." And they didn't get it until that happened. A boycott is like that. These two men mended their ways and were able to win their future wife back. But they amended. The door was left enough open for them to have one more chance. Now, those were before the days of black femicide. So that's a slightly different situation today, and neither of these men were on the level of escalation as some of the things. This is before, in R.C. Blake's case, because he's nearer to 60 years of age. This is even before crack cocaine was as heavy as it had became by the time Tony Gaskins came along. And even Tony Gaskins is still about, he's the same age that I am, but he's, because of where he was in the country, just a little bit ahead of when we have multiple generations of people now setting in that have been calling themselves N's, the N word, and women B's and H's for 40 years. It's still a little bit earlier than what we're dealing with today because he's been married 15 years. So today, I'm not sure black women are going to be as willing to leave doors open, also because we have this sense that we can find somewhere else to go, or we can not go anywhere at all. We can just choose to live our lives until the right person out of 3.9 billion men in the world comes along, even if that means we don't get to live the standard American dream family idea. It's safer. So those two men's experiences were earlier, but you still have the same idea. A wrong is committed, consequences are applied, but redemption is possible. A boycott operates really the same way. A wrong is committed, consequences of abandonment are applied, but room is left over for the company in question to amend its evil ways. And then business can be done again. Cancel culture is you do one thing one time and we're going to make you cease to exist. We're canceling you. And that has more to do with colonial ideas about people. Comply or die, convert or die. If you read your European history for quite some time, all the way back to when the Greeks decided that not only were they going to conquer the world, but Hellenize it. In other words, force everyone they conquered to accept Greek language, Greek culture, and Greek worship, which was worshiping idealized Greek men and women. So you either learned how to worship white folks or you disappeared. The books of the Maccabees in the Catholic Bible include the Apocrypha. And you also can read this in Antiquities of the Jews by Josephus, could tell you how ferocious the Greeks could be in particular if you wanted to hang on to your own culture and religion. Any Native American who had to go through Indian schools in the United States can tell you this. Any black person that had their language and their name beaten out of them when they arrived in the Caribbean for slave breaking could tell you about that ferocity. Cancel culture is closer to that because it does not leave room. We're going to say that because of this one act, you should cease to exist. There's no possibility for amendment. There's no possibility for improvement. There's no possibility for negotiation. There is no acknowledgement of the fact that this person might have made an error that may be severe, but there's no room. We're just deciding to eliminate you. That doesn't come from boycott. That doesn't come from civil rights. That comes from colonialism. That's Satan's idea about humanity, in that he doesn't have any use for us and does not give people, when he no longer has a use for you, he wants to destroy you. God is letting people, and I mean God is revealed as God and Father of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, knows that there, out of 8 billion people on the planet, there may be a billion who are Christians, maybe. That's a high estimate. And yet everybody else is walking around enjoying life. God is not canceling them. Everybody's dying, so Christians die too. God is not walking around canceling people. even though he is God and he has a right to compel worship, but he's not doing that. So what makes you think that we have the right to take our little fingers and our little buttons and make people comply to everything we believe? Even we have to acknowledge that there's some people that have been targeted like this who have been wrong. But where is the responsibility? Where is the mutual responsibility to, yes, we need to confront people, but where is the opportunity for redemption? Where is the opportunity for things to be repaired and see if there's repair, then there can be actual healing. Revenge murders don't solve anything, to take another analogy. They just don't, unless that person feels vindicated. But sometimes people get in that habit, they go find someone else to remind them of that person, and they keep going. If you talk to certain serial killers, they keep ideating about someone in their past, and they keep imposing this on the next person. If you look at people that are unsuccessful in relationships, they'll sit up and tell you, well, so and so did me wrong in high school. There was a song about that. I got done wrong way back, and every date then, every woman then, it was payback, straight payback. That doesn't do it. So then once you cancel someone and that doesn't give you relief, then you look for the next person to cancel. Have you noticed that European colonialism spread to almost the whole world and they're still not satisfied? That's why I'm telling you, cancel culture is colonial culture. The Lord Jesus Christ once told two of his disciples who wanted to call down fire on somewhere that they didn't feel treated them and their master correctly, "You know not spirit you are of." Because that doesn't come from a holy place. The Montgomery bus boycott and boycotts like it are movements that are about, we're going to withdraw our support until you do the right thing. But if you do the right thing, we will then find a way to work together with you again. That gives an opportunity for restoration, repair, and justice and healing. Cancel culture is you offend me, you die. And that is colonizer culture. That's slave owner culture. Those of you engaged with that, you know not what spirit you're of. Now, those of you who know me from my days on Themis and Golf know I'm a tough moderator. You got about 3, 4 chances. Really 2 if you did something serious enough. Sometimes not even 1. But at the same time, you still got to listen and learn. I do the same thing over here. I told y'all earlier, yesterday, by the time you see this, yeah, I pre-block, but I welcome y'all to come and listen and learn. Because you might not have a right to speak into a situation, but I don't want you to cease to exist. We don't cancel people over here. We may take your mic, we may cut your mic, but we don't cancel people over here. You're always going to be welcome to come and listen. And then, somehow you beat me on another page talking about, well, this is where I was, but then I was, I've learned this and I've learned that. You might at some point get your mic back over here. I'm going to have to see a lot of evidence. But the point is, this is not a cancel culture space. We can have disagreements about things. I will even allow people to be a certain amount off topic because sometimes things connect in people's minds in different ways. Boy, have I learned about that in the past 2 years. But that's okay. That's okay. Because I'm not a colonizer at heart. And because I'm not a colonizer, I can call cancel culture for what it is. It's not something that we do as free people. All right. Y'all have a good day. I got another quick hit video while we're on the subject. Okay, if we're not going to cancel them, then what? Well, Of the Unicorn, I already did this video. Attention is currency. Your attention is currency. So we're going to link back to her and we're going to take this in a slightly different direction in light of one of Mocha Mommy's videos from May 23rd. I said it was 2022, but it's 2021. And we're just going to take it and put some spice on it and go in a slightly different direction with it. All right, that's the next one. That'll be coming up in a couple hours. Y'all have a good day now. Goodbye.